Welcome to GenXAdulting. Today we are starting a conversation on various changes we've made in our lives to become lead a healthier lifestyle.
Yep.
As we get older, we're Gen Xers, so we're aging, trying to age gracefully and actively. Um, Today we're going to talk about some of the motivation behind some of the changes we've made, and actually we'll start it off with you.
Okay.
What's been some of your motivations for the changes?
So I wanted to be healthy as we head into this second phase of our life. I hope to be a grandma someday, and I'd like to be an active grandmother, be very present. We want to continue to do physical activity outside, like hiking, traveling, going to the beach, all that type of stuff. I want to still be doing that in my 60s, 70s, 80s. I want to be the 85-year-old that's doing yoga. I knew that when I around 51, I knew that if I was going to be that person that I was envisioning, then I needed to make some major changes in my life, or I wasn't going to make it to 80, or if I did, I was not going to be healthy.
No, that all makes sense.
Yeah.
So, what was the first change you did make?
Begrudgingly, I gave up alcohol.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And what led up to that?
So for a few months leading up to the decision, I started doing research, which probably was my first mistake because ignorance is certainly bliss when it comes to drinking alcohol. Um, so I learned a lot and in preparation to give it up. And I use the term give it up because I used alcohol as a coping mechanism. It was my crutch. I, like many people, enjoyed it in celebratory times
Hmm.
and dark times. If I'm cooking dinner, I would pour myself a glass of wine.
It's such a diverse, good thing to do, though, right?
Yeah, It's just it was such a part of my life. And we live in South Florida, so every day is summer.
Hmm.
So you feel, that every day you have an excuse to have a drink. So I loved it. I loved alcohol. The only negative connotation for me was the hangovers.
Yeah, yeah. And they get harder as you get older.
And they get much harder as you get older. Um and I was giving up, whereas before I could drink and still get up and get through the day. It became where I was in bed all day, and
Yeah,
sometimes I still felt the effects the second day.
yeah,
So if I drank, let's say, heavily on a Friday, I could give up my entire weekend.
yeah. And that just sucks.
So I realized that my life was what I was envisioning for myself was not going to happen with everything that I learned.
In your research, was there one big thing that had the most impact, in a sense, to drive you there?
Learning about how alcohol affects your brain,
Hmm.
that it can lead to dementia and Alzheimer's,
Yeah,
um, that it can lead to brain atrophy, basically, which I didn't know that.
brain atrophy.
Yeah. Um, so so that was like one of the main things, that it's so dehydrating, which can affect your
Yep. Yeah,
appearance.
yeah.
So, I mean, as a woman, I obviously care about my appearance. And so, not just with your skin in the vanity way, how you look, but inside, like you're just completely dehydrated. Another thing is that I kind of knew this, but through my research, it, I confirmed it, is that it was completely contributing to anxiety and hangxiety. Um, Alcohol stays in your body for about 72 hours. So the effects of alcohol, the anxiety can linger for that many days after you've drank.
That's a trip.
Because when you drink, so it has a depressing effect on your body,
Hmm.
right? So then your body releases stimulants to counter the depressing effects. So once the effects of alcohol go away, the depressing effects of alcohol go away, you still have all those stimulants in your body. And that causes the anxiety. It also causes you to wake up. I don't know about you, but I always woke up at 3 a.m. after drinking.
Yeah, it's very disruptive to sleep.
So disruptive. You
Yeah,
never really get into a deep sleep,
yeah.
And those stimulants are what's also waking you up. And then
Yeah.
you're awake. And I would be awake for like an hour or two with anxiety.
I always attributed that to, though, it's like your body's processing it, and there's something going on metabolically with your sugars and
Yeah.
glucose levels, then or you
Yeah.
just have to get up and go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah. No. And also, I have my little notes here. If people are watching, they see, just so I wouldn't forget anything. But your body, you're right. It does go through the liver, but and processes, but your body is going to process the sugars from the alcohol before anything else. So if you're drinking, so for as far as like losing weight, you're never giving your body a chance to start burning fat really because it's always working on what the sugars that you've put into your
Yeah.
body. It's going to go for that first. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, it goes for what's
Yeah.
readily available running through your blood.
Yeah. So and then of course it causes inflammation.
Mhm.
So I could tell since I've given it up, I was definitely inflamed. I can see that I was more swollen when I was
Mhm.
drinking, but of course inflammation is the cause of most diseases.
Yeah.
So it basically
There's such a body of work now, so much research is being done on inflammation.
so
So you're
much.
saying, I mean, I
It's a
don't really drink anymore either, as you
right.
know.
Right.
Um, Mine is probably more driven on feeling like shit versus not feeling like shit. You know,
Right.
the hangover stuff, the mental clarity is
Yeah.
so much better. The just the common sense of this stuff can't be good for you.
No.
And it catches up with you and you don't feel as, it's just not nearly as much fun as when you're younger.
Unfortunately, it's not.
Yeah, I guess as we get older, have you found any research on that in terms of as you get older, does your body just not handle it well, or is it anecdotal and we're just spot on anyways?
No, there is research about how it affects you as you get older. I I I remember reading about something saying that your body gets so used to alcohol in a certain way that as you get older, even as you try to only maybe have one or two glasses of wine, your body is still going to respond like if you were having 10 drinks. So you could end up feeling hungover
Hmm.
just having one or two glasses of wine as you get older because your
That's
body's
me.
almost been trained. If that may, I don't know scientifically why. I did read about that and
Yeah,
explained
yeah,
it. I can't remember what it said, but it's as you get older, your body just gets used to alcohol in a way where it doesn't matter how much you drink, you're going to have that hungover
yeah,
effect.
yeah.
It also
It's like
raises,
me and wine. One glass of
yes,
wine and
yeah,
feel like shit the next day.
yeah. It also raises cortisol, the stress hormone, which especially for women is
Hmm.
you don't want to raise that. So I learned all these things, and once I learned all of that and more, I just couldn't go I couldn't go back.
Yeah.
I couldn't. It sucked. Like I said, ignorance was bliss. But
So there's a ton of bad things in the world, right? In terms of whether it's diet or whatever. Um, what was that same primary motivation to give up alcohol then? Just the research and information you found?
so everything I knew that everything I wanted to do on my new health journey, I call it, my midlife health journey, I knew that none of it would be effective to even maybe 50% of, of its potential if I was drinking. I feel that alcohol in my body, even if I drank on a Friday, it was still in my body Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So if I'm doing all these healthy things Saturday, Sunday, Monday,
Yeah, yeah,
the alcohol's negating it.
yeah.
I might be getting some of the benefit, but if I was going to take this seriously, drinking was going to negate so much of what I was trying to do. So that's that's really once I had all the knowledge, once I learned
Hmm.
everything I was going to learn, I knew that I had to stop if I wanted to truly embrace this health journey
Hmm.
authentically, like really do it.
So it's one of those deals where we walk pretty much every morning, work out a few times a week, eat healthy and everything. So would you say, how difficult of a choice was that for you to make, and were you either scared or nervous going into it, type of thing?
Well, I mean, I was a habitual drinker. So
You're like
Um,
the mom style, "I'm gonna have a glass of wine while I
well,
cook," type of thing.
so the first couple weeks were
Like, I
challenging.
wouldn't consider you a lush by any stretch of the imagination.
Well, no, it's interesting. Okay, so the first few weeks were challenging because I was a habitual drinker. So, but full disclosure, I drank in high school. Um, I drank through college,
Mhm.
probably heavily, like most people do. When we were in our 20s, we were having kids. So we only socially drank. I only
Mhm.
socially drank. We didn't drink in the house during that time when they were really young.
I think I did.
You might have, but it was
No,
not a
not
lot.
yeah, yeah.
It was just social, but we were very social.
Well, something happens as you raise the kids and you're in your career, and it's easy to be like, "All right, I'm gonna have a beer, or I'm gonna have a martini," and it's Tuesday night, and to your point, it becomes a habit. It's like, "All right, it's Tuesday and then Wednesday. Well, shit, tomorrow's Thursday, then you got Friday." So, it is easy to get into that habit, I think, like you're describing.
It's
Then before you know it, years pass, and you have been a habitual drinker, not the quote unquote drunk, or maybe that stereotypical type of concept. It's not like we're going down to Cheers and walk in and say, "Hey, Nicole, Brian," that not that kind of thing. But
You definitely used a Gen X reference
yeah,
there.
there you go.
I think that it's incredibly easy to incorporate alcohol into your daily life. Society makes it so easy.
Hmm.
It's more normal to
Everywhere you
drink.
go, you watch the Super Bowl, you're bombarded with ads or whatever. Yeah, especially in Florida, like you mentioned.
It's more normal to drink than not to drink.
Hmm.
So, okay, so through our 20s, I was just drinking socially. My dad died when I was 32, and I definitely started using drinking as a coping mechanism for that. So I'd say that I was drinking a lot, probably daily then. No, and when I'm say drinking, it could be like one drink a day.
Hmm.
I'm not getting drunk every day. One or two drinks a day. So it's fully functional
When you
alcohol
say drink
use.
too, do you mean I'm having a stiff martini, or I'm having a glass of wine, or something along those lines? Maybe depends on the
It
day.
it varied. It
Yeah.
varied. So and then um we popped up pregnant when I was 39, 38. And we ended up having a baby and a middle schooler and a high schooler. So this was now into our 40s.
Hmm.
And I would say that that's when things got really crazy in our lives and we were drinking.
Hmm.
We were drinking martinis
Hmm.
almost daily, a
There was
lot.
another phase there too, for me at least, was I love microbrews, I love IPAs, and Total Wine came to town. That's such a good selection. So I remember going and getting, I don't know, 5 or 6 different IPA styles and drinking them over the next few days. And,
Yeah, I
you
think
know,
that that's all part of that whole
that's just
period,
that cultural thing. Yeah.
that period in our 40s especially. But yeah, in our 30s too. But
Yeah.
but really in our 40s, I think. For me personally, I drank the heaviest in my 40s, which was probably the worst thing I could have done because I came down with I got Hashimoto's thyroid disease around that time. I was perimenopausal without realizing it, and then I'm drinking every day.
So once you stopped, did you notice anything either physiologically or psychologically, or some of those big changes? There has to be changes, right? In how you feel, how you think. Um, what do you think of that?
Yeah, so I immediately slept better. Like, that
Mm,
was immediate. I would say when people say, "What do you feel first?" That you sleep better. You
interesting.
actually get sleep. Because when you're drinking, you're really never getting into a deep sleep. You're never getting a restful sleep. So the alcohol just doesn't allow it. So it was probably the first time in years that I'd gotten a really good sleep. Because, like I said, even on nights I didn't drink, it was still in my system.
Hmm.
I My bloating went down. I was still dealing with bloating. I'm still dealing with bloating because of menopause now. But I was perimenopausal when I gave this up, and and thyroid disease. Both those can cause bloating. Also, the alcohol had wrecked my gut. Not just the alcohol, food, just not taking care of myself. I'm still in the process of healing my gut.
That's
So,
there's a lot of research these days on your gut biome
yes.
and the impact of alcohol on it. And just
Yeah.
it does
Oh,
pretty
wrecks it.
well researched. It just destroys it.
It destroys it.
Yeah.
This is the way I look at it. I feel that for a good 10 years of my life, maybe longer, I wrecked my gut completely. And that I have been on this healing gut journey now for almost about a year and a half, almost 2 years. And I expect it to take even a little longer. I took years and years of wrecking it. It's going to take some time to heal it completely. But some bloating went down. Um, I wasn't as swollen
Hmm.
because the inflammation came down. So I was not as swollen. I really saw that in my face. I was hydrated. I had people that would say, "Oh my gosh, your skin is glowing." And I hadn't done anything different except I had stopped drinking and
Hmm.
I was hydrated. It's amazing what being hydrated does.
Yeah. Yeah.
It solves so many things. I would say to anyone listening, if you have something going on, make sure you're hydrated because a lot of times that will solve things. Like if headache, tired, hungry, irritable, just make sure you're hydrated.
Hmm.
Because it's interesting being hydrated 24/7. I had not been hydrated consistently for a long, long time, a good part of my life.
Yeah.
So just giving my body that hydration, it's addicting now to be hydrated. Like I don't go anywhere without my Stanley
Yeah.
Dupe, and I usually have a cup of tea in my hand or my coffee. I leave the house with multiple cups of things, like most women, and I'm drinking in the car. It goes around when I walk around the house. I have something in my hand. It's just I constantly have something to drink.
I think too what you're describing is just the whole with the gut biome hydration. The alcohol just really just wreaks havoc on your body,
Mm.
on all your systems, your
Yes.
central nervous system, your autoimmune system, your vascular system,
Yes.
everything basically.
Yeah. And I had a lot more energy.
Yeah.
So it gave me the energy to exercise more. And I was getting so much more out of exercising because
Hmm.
exercise hungover in the past. I'd go on a good run hungover
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
to quote unquote sweat it out. That's a thing.
Yeah.
But I now know I wasn't getting nearly the benefits now that I'm getting the benefits.
Yeah.
I now know. I put my body in a state of fight or flight for years with this,
Hmm.
with the alcohol. My body was always like, what are we doing? What are we doing? It just never knew what was going on because I was constantly shocking it with alcohol, which, depressing it, and then it's fighting the depressants. And then, it's like it's digesting the sugars and
Well,
everything was so out of whack.
it's such a cycle because I can speak for myself in terms of I don't really drink nearly as much as I used to either. I don't. You've probably been more disciplined, but I could probably count on both my hands how many times I've drank this year. Um, but what I've noticed is you get into a cycle, right? If you drink and then the next day you're like, it's kind of the hair of the dog concept. It's like, man, I kind of have this craving now, and it's to
Yeah.
get that sugar back in you,
Yeah.
to get the alcohol back in you,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
It's
yeah, that's the cycle of carbohydrates too.
100%. Yeah,
I mean,
empty calories, empty carbs.
just makes you want more.
Yeah, yeah,
And you're fighting that. So same with alcohol. Like
yeah.
if you eat a bag of chips or a pizza or something the next day, you want that
Oh,
again.
let's lay off the
I know your
pizza.
pizza. But as I had more energy and I had more time because in the past my day would kind of stop when I would make my drink or wine because I was quote unquote relaxing.
Hmm.
So that's what I would do. Like drinking became a real verb. Like
Hmm.
I'm drinking. So that's what I'm doing. So
Would you
I'm doing nothing else.
would you say it was? It's a curious thing. The motivation, I guess, would be
Yeah.
for you. Is it more of I'm relaxing and I'm escaping and I'm taking an edge off, or what's the? For me, I like alcohol because I like the escape. There's nothing in the world that lets you shut off your mind than a nice stiff martini and some music.
Yeah.
And that's like, to me, that's almost like, all right, I'm going to my happy spot.
Yeah.
Um,
I think for you especially because you're one of those people, and I'm sure there's people that can relate to this. You struggle shutting your mind off.
Yeah,
Your
100%.
mind is, you have a very curious
Never
mind,
stops.
and it never
Yeah.
stops.
Yeah.
So for you, it really served a purpose
Yeah.
of giving your mind a chance to relax. There's other ways to do that, but that was the quickest and easiest way for you.
But other things, other substances don't do that,
I don't
right? They
even
get
mean
you
other
really thinking.
substances. I mean like
Yeah.
meditation, yoga, but I
Yeah.
think even for you, I just think you have one of those minds that's just really,
Yeah, it's an interesting concept.
that's really hard. For you, it would be a new skill to
Well,
learn how to shut off your mind.
totally different topic and not going to go down a rabbit hole, but I found that solace, that escape in cold plunging and
Yes.
getting in there. And once I survived that first 20 to 30 seconds, I actually am able to shut my mind off.
And that's
It's an amazing
interesting.
thing.
Yeah.
I'm still kind of sorting that out, but
That I didn't know.
it's
I
an
didn't know
amazing
that.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, I noticed it the past 2 days where I get in and it's like, okay, I'm just going to breathe and I'm just going to breathe. And I'm going to focus on the sensations that are running through my fingers and my legs and how cold it is and all of that. It's a trip.
I'm excited for you
It's a
because
trip.
there's very, very few things that have
Yeah.
worked. Well, alcohol was it, I think,
It was the only thing. Yeah.
to be honest. So,
Yeah.
so for me, you asked what was my motivation. So, um, m- relaxation for sure,
Hmm.
but in general, it was a coping mechanism. So, like I said before, I had more energy and I had more time because that time when I would make that drink and then that's what I did the rest of the night, I wasn't making that drink. So now I have all this time on my hand, not on my hands. There's still stuff I'm always doing, meaning I wasn't escaping, I guess that's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
So
it's the
it wasn't
energy too.
escaping. It's a,
The
yes,
energy
it's
really
suction.
leads to time,
Yes.
right? We've talked a little bit about that, I think,
Yes.
just casually about it. But when you aren't drinking and you don't feel like shit, you now have this motivation to go and maybe go on a walk or go on a hike or go down to the beach or whatever it might be.
Right.
And you're just recapturing time lost in some respects.
A significant amount of time
Yeah.
was given over to alcohol in my life.
Yeah.
It will be one of my regrets. I think it's okay to have regrets,
Yeah.
to talk about them. That's one of my regrets in life. I don't have many, but now that I've stepped away, if I could go back, I would absolutely change my
Yeah.
relationship with alcohol. I will say this. I do believe I started using it as a coping mechanism in high school, because of my stuff going on in my
Hmm.
childhood through college, in addition to social life.
And
And so now once I stopped, I used it to deal with my dad's death, all that. Once I stopped, then you have to face all those things you were running away from. That's a whole nother aspect of giving up drinking that a lot of
mhm.
people don't talk about, is I kind of was smacked in the face with a lot of thoughts, a lot of feelings, um, and a lot to unpack. And it was very overwhelming because I couldn't turn to alcohol when I started to feel all the things. I had to
Mhm.
feel all the things.
Mhm.
So I went through months of feeling all the things. And that was a shock to my system. It was hard. It was very challenging. I'm still unpacking some stuff, but it allowed me to actually get to know myself authentically and become a stronger person.
Mhm. It's funny when what I'm laughing at is we were talking about this on our walk the other day, how you said you started drinking in high school. And I was like, you're a late bloomer. Because I don't remember. I had older friends and we would sneak beers or like Boone's Farm wine, right? Or some shitty brandy.
Yeah.
But we weren't doing it to escape. We're just doing it to be kids of the 80s,
Yeah.
and that kind of thing. And you're
Yeah.
hanging out with older kids. And
Yeah.
so it wasn't an escape per se. It's more of a party. But
Yeah.
then I think as you get older and your life is happening and you kind of fall into some of the things we were just talking about.
Well, and I think for you, you had a very different childhood than me. So you didn't really have anything to run away from or escape
Yeah.
from. I think there's a lot of people that can relate to that experience where it was truly just a social thing.
Yeah.
I think for our kids, it was when they drank. Our older two drank in high school. We know that.
Hmm.
Our youngest is about to go in high school, into high school, and I know at some point he will drink. We're realistic. I don't think they were escaping anything for them. I think it's social. I hope
Well,
not.
you know, and kind of brings up a good point. Um, Not drinking, how has that affected your social life when not just
So,
between you and I don't think we have much of
yes.
a social life, but when you girls' night out or,
Right.
going to lunch with some of
Yeah.
those type of things,
Okay, so I never realized how much alcohol was part of the human social experience
the fabric of the world.
until I stopped drinking.
Yeah.
And then it was a trip. It was really a trip to realize everywhere. Birthdays, parties, celebrations, funerals, girls' night out. It's at everything. You're going to go to the beach, bring a bottle of wine. You're going to go on a picnic, bring a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
And you sneak wine into youth sporting events. You're watching your kid play.
Oh my God. I
Let's
think
all
that was the
drink.
big one for me to
Yeah.
this is crazy. Everybody on the
Oh,
sideline here
oh my
is
gosh.
drinking. I would bring
Whiskey.
the whiskey.
The
Yeah.
whiskey.
With the little
Yeah.
clear shot glasses.
Yeah.
Plastic
No, and
ones.
it was all wonderful and so much
Yeah.
fun. At Halloween. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't think of anything where alcohol every holiday. So at first it was a trip. I'm very blessed. I love my girlfriends. They're the best. And it was like it didn't even matter if I was drinking or not.
Yeah.
They didn't bother anybody.
I've noticed that too, and it almost becomes you go somewhere, everybody's drinking, you're like, "No, I'll take an iced tea."
Yeah, no one
And no
cares.
one gives a shit really. Yeah.
Maybe it's because of
Some
our
people do,
age.
but it probably is. Could be.
Yeah, I think it's our age because I know for my girlfriends also do sometimes abstain. So I think it was, but I think for like our kids' age, if they were to try to not drink or when they do, because I know they have taken
Yeah.
breaks, I think it's more awkward when you're their age.
Probably. Yeah, probably.
So I order mocktails. A lot of restaurants and bars are starting to really catch on. The generation that's really spurring the no alcohol movement is Gen Z.
Yeah, I
They are,
saw something about that actually. I read an article about it today, how
yeah,
it's having a material impact on certain bars or breweries or that industry in a
yeah.
sense.
It's really interesting. They are so educated and care about their health, and I love it. It's very interesting.
It's
So
fascinating.
it's forcing
Yeah, good for them.
restaurants, yeah, it's
Yeah.
forcing restaurants and bars to have a great mocktail menu. And when there isn't one, I have my club soda and either pineapple with a splash of pineapple, or a splash of grapefruit and lime.
Yeah.
And I just pound those all night.
I don't think I'll ever I'll take a non-alcoholic beer or I'll just have an iced tea
Oh,
or water. I'm not into the whole mocktail or fake beer stuff.
if I wasn't gluten free, I would totally have non-alcoholic beer. I love the taste of beer. I miss it. Now, sometimes we do get gluten free beer.
Yep.
And when I do have a drink, I'll sometimes enjoy a gluten free beer. But I would have a non alcoholic beer. I do. I love beer.
So I know you can't love me any more than you do and just cherish me and look up to me any more than you do, but how do you think marriage or you giving up alcohol and has say affected your marriage and even your family life, if it's kind of combine the whole family, you got your marriage and your children?
So, giving up alcohol affected our marriage so positively in that I think we both ended up having, like we've said, more energy to do more things. So we started exploring more stuff, doing different things we hadn't done before. And I guess being on this health journey together has brought us closer. We've had years of just having a blast drinking. Like we've had so much fun. And I wouldn't necessarily take those times away, but we also had drunken fights. I mean, we definitely got in drunken fights. We got in fights over silly things.
Yeah, stupid shit.
Stupid shit that could be just a simple little argument or debate and turn into an all out,
Yeah.
no, nothing, just to be clear, nothing physical ever, but just really just, when you're drunk, you
Petty,
just,
stupid,
yes,
sloppy, drunk
just,
nonsense.
and emotions come out that are because you're drunk.
Yeah.
So,
I would love to hear stories from people on some zingers on that, but
yeah, it's just,
stupid shit.
honestly, I could see how marriages fall apart.
Yeah.
I really could, because you don't realize that it's not you guys that's the problem. It's the alcohol.
Yeah, that third element you've allowed in.
It's the third
Yeah.
demon,
Almost like the
really.
third rail in
Yeah.
train talk.
Yeah. I don't know about train talk, but
Don't touch the third rail.
okay. But if you didn't know better, I could see marriages falling apart, and it was all the alcohol.
Could see how many do you think have?
Yeah.
Right? It's
Yeah.
statistically
No.
has to be one.
Yeah.
Not, I don't know if it's a leading cause. I'm sure financial problems are, but
Yeah.
alcohol's got to be top 5.
Yeah, probably. And what's unfortunate is that if the alcohol wasn't there,
Mm-hmm.
they potentially could maybe still be married. I don't
Yeah.
know, because you don't know people, but I could see how it could destroy marriage.
So I guess I could attest to, I think us not drinking, you eliminate some of that stupid nonsense. So now you're somewhat more grounded. You're not escaping things, so you're more present. You have more energy. You do have more time. And I think for us, it has led to consistently walking in the morning. And walking's great, right?
Yeah.
That's, you get a lot of good conversations in,
Yeah.
good release. It's good,
That's
healthy.
yeah, it's when we solve all the world's problems.
100%.
Yeah.
Everything is solved.
Yes.
Go down to the beach, we're about to go see a concert. We're flying out of town in a couple days and gonna go see a concert out of state. I don't know if, not that alcohol wouldn't have stopped that, but
No, but I just think the quality of all of the experiences,
yeah,
I feel completely present. I feel
it's a
completely
good way to put
present
it.
in everything I'm doing right now.
Yeah.
No matter what we do, I feel I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm 100% there, and I remember it all, and it's me there. It's not that it's like I feel like a demon would get inside of me sometimes, and it's like it's really me in that state. It's not an altered state of
Well,
myself.
what's interesting in saying that, it's when you get to where you're going, you're not looking to where's the bar. The bar doesn't exist.
Right.
You're going to wherever you're going, and there's no concept of a bar.
Right.
Or I need to get a beer.
Yeah.
Or I need a glass of wine.
Yeah.
You're kind of the weirdo, maybe meandering and looking at other things.
I mean,
know.
how many things have we done where we're like, okay, let's get a drink, or where, like you're saying, where's the bar, or we should bring it with us, or how are we going to sneak it in?
Yeah.
I mean, even when we bring our kids to Universal, we know that one Mexican restaurant you can get drinks at. I
And
know,
that Irish pub,
and
too.
then the Irish pub across from the Mummy.
Yeah.
If anyone's listening. And when you first walk into Islands, there's a Mexican restaurant on the right, and you can get drinks there.
Well, the only redeeming Disney park in my mind is Epcot, because you could go around the world and eat all the food and drink all their drinks.
Yeah. I mean, and there's nothing, first, I just want to be clear. I don't judge anyone for drinking.
No, not at all.
And there's nothing wrong with that. This is truly talking about my own personal experience, our own personal experience. So, as far as you asked about the family, so as far as the kids, so the kids witnessed us at times fighting drunkenly. And I regret that. And I would say that's another thing I wish that I could go back, and that's a regret. I wish I could go back and change that. I'm a big believer that that I'm fine with the kids seeing us having disagreements. You and I are constantly giving each other shit. We're a very sarcastic couple. And sometimes we'll have spats, and I'm fine with that, because I want our daughter to know she has every right to speak her mind. And I want my sons to know that their wife has every right to speak her mind. And I want the children I always wanted the kids to witness conflict and resolution. And conflict isn't bad. And it doesn't mean divorce. That married people fight. It's actually, I'm a big believer, when you stop having disagreements or when you stop talking, that's the problem.
Well, I think one of the biggest things with the, say, a newfound consistent sobriety is you realize I'm never wrong and always right.
Yeah.
So it's
Yes.
probably helped in that sense.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I became submissive. That was it. Yeah.
Not submissive, just realizing.
Yes.
Just the
That was
realization.
part of the enlightenment, is that you're
Enlightenment
right.
is a good
Yeah.
way to put it.
And for anyone that's not catching the sarcasm, that completely, we're not being serious in any way. But um, so I think I have no issues with arguing. I really don't in front of kids. I mean, as long as it's normal
Mhm.
arguing. But our drunken fights, um, they sometimes were in the midst of that, and I know that that affected them. I know, especially the older two. I would say they don't have a lot of adversity in their childhood. You and I have worked
Mhm.
really hard to give them as close as we can to the perfect childhood. You and I have two different motivations when it comes to that, which I think we've talked about in other episodes. So I'd say the biggest adversity they had in childhood was that there were a few years where we were drinking and we would argue, and it wasn't pretty.
And it's just senseless
It's
bullshit.
senseless bullshit. But
Yeah.
when you're in middle school and high school,
Yeah, yeah.
it's it's fucking sucks.
Yeah.
You know, and you probably wonder, are your parents getting divorced? Even though we knew we weren't,
Yeah.
but it created instability. And so I do regret that. And the kids talk to us about it. I mean, it's not like it's the big elephant in the room. We talk
Yeah.
about it. We have very open communication. I mean, they're fine.
Well, we've gone to their frat parties.
Yeah.
And
Oh yeah,
keggers with them and stuff like
we've
that.
drank with the kids. So
Yeah.
and those were isolated incidents, but the kids are just so everyone knows, kids are
Yeah.
totally fine.
Yeah.
But I would say it's positively affected the kids probably in that that's not happening. There's no chance of that happening. And I want to be clear, every time we drank, we didn't fight. It's those rare times we did that it was just like a stupid drunken fight.
Yeah.
I don't know why I know people go through it.
I grew up around it. Like I remember my aunt and uncle, they were both just raging alcoholics and they were from Jersey City. I won't name them by name. I don't want to upset my mom. But man, they had some good ones. I remember my aunt, they were fighting. They'd been drinking all night. They hadn't slept, and I was sleeping over at my other aunt's, and they got in a fight, and my aunt was ready to hitchhike or catch a bus back to Jersey City, but there's no buses where we live.
Right,
So
right.
she's hitchhiking, and there's no one picking up hitchhikers.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I think it's for hundreds of years it's been going
Yeah.
on, you know. Yeah, I don't think you and I ever had anything in public. I think this was always in the house.
Yeah, probably.
We're not very
It was really just you stepping out of line.
Yeah.
Get a couple drinks
Yes.
in you, you step out
I'm
of line.
sure, yeah, you
know.
were a saint.
I
Saint.
think I was.
Always so saintly.
So overall, not drinking,
Yeah.
how's that affected, say, your psyche and your worldview? We've kind of touched on some things, but
Yeah, I'd say I'm more content. I'm more at peace. I have more energy. I feel like I've gotten to know myself in midlife. I've gotten to know myself better. And I've been able to have a lot of self-reflection. I'm proud of myself, and that those words never come out of my mouth. I am the hardest on myself all the time. But I am proud of myself because it wasn't easy, and it's not easy. I mean, and I don't want to so I would say I would characterize myself as I was a functioning alcoholic. And it's not easy. I don't want to make this sound easy, especially for people that are struggling with alcoholism or giving it up. It's not easy to do. And you do still crave a drink. You know, like I would love to be able to pour a drink every night and still have that lifestyle. You still want to have that drink.
well, have you reintroduced? And I know feel like you have, but
Yeah, no,
since you
I have.
stopped, let's go back a second.
Yeah.
So when you stopped, feels like you might have been this year, right? January 1st. I'm done. Cold turkey.
No, it was January of 2023.
Okay, so we're on
Year and a half.
year and a half into this.
Mm-hmm.
So when you first stopped, you
Mhm.
went some period of time, and I remember there was
So
some milestone event.
Right. So I stopped in January,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't drink until our daughter graduated in May.
Yep, that's right.
So that was a decent amount of time.
Yep.
Then I drank 2 days of that weekend, like at dinner, the 2 dinners we had.
Mm-hmm.
And then I didn't drink, and that was fine. I was fine stopping. It didn't lead me to wanting to drink. And then we were on vacation in July, and there was a family reunion. And I drank up in Jersey at the family
Oh,
reunion.
that's right.
Yeah. So I drank at the family reunion, and I drank a few other days of that trip. We were with
Yeah.
our cousins, your cousin, but my cousins too.
Yeah.
And so I drank, but then stopped. And then I feel like in September I had a drink or two. Don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
Stopped. And then
September might have been anniversary or something.
yeah, that's probably it. Yeah. So this actually answers
almost
the
like
question.
events, right?
This is
Yeah.
how I drink. So I drink special occasions and holidays.
Mm-hmm.
So there's unless or if we're out to dinner and I feel like it. Like the other night we were out to dinner and I had 2 glasses of wine. And then when we got home, I wanted another glass of wine, and I keep non-alcoholic wine in the house in our wine fridge, and I poured myself a glass of non-alcoholic red wine, just to have that. I'm big about my glasses, so I like to have things in wine glasses, or like if I put
Yeah.
things in the glass, then it feels psychologically, it feels like I'm having a drink, and that's a different way I handled things. So I wasn't hungover. I drank a lot of water. I wasn't dehydrated. I didn't want to drink the next day. So sometimes out to dinner, holidays, special occasions.
And would you say, at least I think I know the answer, but I'm curious to hear your response. Would you say you're pretty guilt free about it? If you have a drink, if you had a glass of wine tonight, you feeling pretty guilt free, or is that kind of hang with you at all?
I don't feel guilty like I'm breaking my streak or that I'm going to go back to drinking regularly. I'm just very conscious of what it could be doing to my health.
That's kind of where I'm at.
And I get hung up on that. So I try to either only have 1 or 2 and counter it with non-alcoholic stuff or with a lot of water or tea. I have overindulged a couple times.
Yeah.
And gotten drunk.
Yeah.
I have.
Yeah, the accidental, oh shit.
Yeah. I didn't eat enough. And then you just start drinking. I've done it a couple times. I've gotten drunk. I'd say 2 times. And
Not very much though, right?
not very much.
You lose your tolerance, don't you?
I lost my tolerance is so low. And I was the one night I was just a drunken mess, this hot girl mess. Nothing bad happened. Like both times you and I didn't fight. Nothing bad happened. I just am just mess. And I was
Actually, I think we had some fun with you.
I think you did.
Rather
I think
than
you guys
messing
messed around with me.
Yeah. We didn't paint like bunny ears or anything.
No. But you know what?
Your gibberish we had fun with.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I was so hungover.
Yeah.
And that just those times reminded me, this is why I don't want this.
Yeah.
So alcohol is no longer a part of my life. It's something I visit. And I've been successful.
Good way to put it.
Yeah, I visit it.
Yeah.
How are you? But many, many people can't do that. So that's why I don't want to like make this seem like, oh, it's so easy.
Yeah.
I mean, I have my own thing I struggle. I also, and we'll talk about this in another episode, but I've suffered from an eating disorder for a good part of my life and still have an interesting relationship with food. So if I was listening to someone that was like, oh, I just solved my eating disorder, everything's fine, I'd be like, oh, what a bitch. Like, it's not that easy. So
nothing's easy.
No, but there may be
Nothing
people.
Good for you is easy.
I know, but there may be people listening that have a harder time with alcohol and are like, she's making it sound so easy. I'm just saying for me, I was able to step away from it and I can visit it, but I understand there are people that can't. And I get why they can't. And I don't know why I can. I thought I wouldn't be able to. So far, I've been fine with it. I've been able to moderately have it in my life, but it's a mental thing.
Yeah.
I am telling myself, like, you will not have another drink tomorrow.
So I don't think about it personally. Do you?
Not a ton. Just sometimes there's days or nights where I'm like, oh, I'd love to have a glass of wine, or I'd love to have because gosh, there is nothing like a martini with blue cheese olives.
Makes me want to have one.
I know, a martini with blue cheese olives. So, and I don't mean to trigger anyone who's listening to this that might be not drinking, but for me, those are those moments, and I just have to think. No, because I have to think, okay, how are you going to feel? How does
Yeah.
it feel afterwards? And it's a lot of m-
That's where I
mind
that's
strength.
where I go really because I don't I have, I kind of asked you about your psyche, but for me, I don't like to drink because I don't want to feel like shit for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
And I don't like that that what's the right word? Persistent. I don't want it stuck with me.
Yeah. And
I
it,
want to
it
be able to
does.
wake up and feel good.
Yeah.
And I hate that. That's that. So it's not guilt, but it's regret. If you have a
Yeah.
drink or two and you wake up feeling like shit, and then it lingers till the next night, the next day.
Oh, easily.
I hate that.
Well, it's a toxin.
It is. It's a poison.
It's a poison,
Yeah.
and it's a poison and toxin that your body is, as soon as it goes in your body's ready to fight.
Yeah.
So your
Well,
body, you're not supposed to feel, you feel good for that moment, and then you're just ravaged. So,
yeah.
you know,
The we didn't touch on it, but for me, one of my primary drivers for not wanting to drink, besides not wanting to feel like shit for 3 days, but I believe, I know this, it's a fact, alcohol feeds cancer.
mm,
So I consider it my cancer prevention program, or
yeah,
part of it, right? Limiting refined sugars, limiting alcohol.
yeah,
The cancer loves
it
the bad
does.
stuff.
It does.
Now I won't give up pizza and I
Yeah,
won't give up ice cream, but alcohol and everything else is pretty much off the table.
yeah,
So health wise,
yeah. No, it definitely that goes along with the part of inflammation,
yeah,
just all of that stuff. So it is preventative care,
yeah,
to have a to have no relationship with alcohol, or a healthy relationship with alcohol. But I will tell you, it's insidious. It's such a part of our society. It's such a part of mom life.
hmm,
And there were so many years where the mommy drinking wine thing was so prevalent, and it may
yeah.
still be. I'm not in the young mom community,
I think it
obviously.
definitely is.
And it's so
Yeah,
accepted,
totally.
but I think it creates a lot of functioning alcoholic women who are already under so much pressure raising children, usually
Ah,
working, usually working, and then coming home, taking care of their children, taking care of their house. There's just so much that a woman carries, and it's also one of the reasons she may drink. But then the drinking also just deteriorates so much of her health and her psyche. So it's a vicious cycle. And that mommy wine culture, it temporarily helps things, but it really makes it worse. It's tough because it's also a social thing. So it's a social
yeah.
support system to be around other women and other moms. It's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's a tough one. It's easy to just down bottles of wine when you're in that situation.
So what would you say your overall perspective or relationship is at this point, or view of alcohol?
I mean,
Because
I don't judge anyone for drinking. Um, Alcohol, like I said, is something I visit. I hope my kids have a much better relationship with alcohol than I did or you did. I hope that they come to these discoveries much earlier in their life. You're Irish, I'm Armenian. Both of our cultures drink. So, and we're very celebratory. And when we throw parties or social events, it's one of the first things we buy, and we always will. We have a bar in our
yeah, we
house,
have a bar.
and I'm not getting rid of that because that's a social center of our home. So I'm not altering everything just because of these health choices we've made, but I'm just hoping that they can be adapted in just a healthier way. That continues. I think it will, and I hope for the kids that they adapt to a healthier. I mean, not that they have issues now; they don't.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I hope that it stays that way. Um, but again, like I said, I think the younger generation, Gen Z, is way ahead of the game than Gen X and millennials when it comes to alcohol. I'm so surprised.
Well, they are on a few fronts. Alcohol, smoking.
Yeah.
Although the vaping shit drives me
The
crazy.
vape, yeah, I would
That's
say millennials were the ones who really got rid of the smoking, I thought. But maybe it's
I lose track of.
it might be Gen Z. But no, it might be Gen Z, but the vaping, okay, so
That's a big one. That drives
that's
me crazy.
It's horrible.
I'd rather they have cigarettes
Yes. Same.
available than this shit that's coming in
Same.
from foreign countries with who knows what the hell's in it.
Yes, I agree.
The fact that it's legal is insane.
Yes.
It's crazy.
I have such an issue with vaping.
Yeah.
It's where I draw a hard line with my kids is vaping.
Yeah.
And once you do it, I think it's harder to quit than cigarettes. And that's saying a lot because it's hard to
Yeah.
quit cigarettes.
Yeah.
It's incredibly hard to quit. But I think it's harder to quit vaping.
It seems like it.
And it's so accepted and you can do it everywhere.
Yeah, that's the problem.
So I think Gen Z does have that battle, but at least they're countering it with and I never really thought about it. That a whole generation changing their outlook on alcohol. So
Well, what's kind of interesting, it's a whole different topic probably, but alcohol and smoking is less prevalent, but now there's more. Well, now shit, pot's legal in most states.
yeah,
If not recreationally, it's medically
yeah,
legal.
yeah,
But now there's a lot of there's this undercurrent of psychedelics too
yeah.
for medicinal purposes, or even just microdosing.
Microdosing.
Not even medicinally. Talking about it medicinally is the gateway to making it recreationally acceptable.
Yes, yes,
And I'm fine with that. I think
yeah,
far better choices in microdosing and psychedelics than vaping and even
yeah.
alcohol, quite frankly.
No, I know. There's the vaping thing. Yeah, no, it's interesting how it's expanded. So, and maybe that means Gen Z is doing more, like you're saying, more drugs. More like
Could be.
more
Not sure.
more microdosing or
Yeah.
pot.
Yeah.
I think they call it weed. It's so
Yeah.
funny. It's come full circle because it was weed back in like the 60s and 70s, and then we call it pot, and I think they call it weed.
Yeah, I'm still predisposed to calling it weed.
Do you call it
Ganja.
weed?
I think so.
I call it pot.
Anything I
This is a Gen
struggle
X
to call
exposure
it.
moment.
Yeah, I struggle to call it cannabis. Hey, let's go score some cannabis. No,
I don't know
let's
anybody
go
who calls it that.
let's go score some weed. Let's go get some buds.
No one says buds except Gen Xers.
Yeah, probably.
I think that's definitely just us that would say that. But yeah, so
Scooby snacks.
yeah, no one
Yeah.
says that. No, don't say that. I mean, I think overall, this has just been such a positive thing for both of us, and at least I can say for
Yeah.
me. And we're going to talk more
Yeah.
about the other healthy changes that I made, that you made.
hmm
Those healthy changes would not have occurred if I hadn't given up alcohol, if we hadn't
Yeah.
made that change.
I do think that in that sense, it's very foundational because if you
Yes.
stop drinking, everything we talked about, you have more energy, you're present, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That lets you get into doing other things, whether it's hiking or walking or biking or lifting weights
Yeah.
or hell, meditating, cold
Yeah.
plunging. That's a whole new world, man.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Gardening.
Gardening, yeah, working in the yard,
Writing.
landscaping, all
Writing.
this,
Yeah,
all
all
these
the
different
things.
Yeah.
And it's not saying that people don't do that and drink. I think many
Like
people
Ernest
do.
Hemingway was a raging
Mm.
drinker, right?
And then he killed himself.
Yeah.
So
But wrote some classics
did,
and sailed
he
the
did.
Caribbean and caught some huge fish.
yeah. Yeah. No. And people are very functional. It's just
Yeah.
for me, and I think for you, we couldn't be anymore. And again, it had to do with how do I see myself in the future me. So me now is trying to help future me.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping future me looks back and says, "Oh, I'm so glad that you did that." So it's a forward thinking attitude. And maybe when you hit your 50s, you really start forward thinking. You face your mortality and all that. But maybe you start forward thinking more. The first part of your life is you're just doing. And then maybe once you hit your 50s, midlife, you're looking ahead and you're,
Well, to your
reflective more.
to your point there, look ahead and do you want to I want to die quickly. Whatever that is, I want it to be fast. I don't want it to be some cancer. It's just grinding on me, right? Because I've seen that. I've been to that
Yeah.
show. We've all been to that,
Mhm.
and you kind of want to go out. I think fast.
So you
Something-
want to be old and die fast.
Yeah, I just don't want to have a bunch of ailments, right?
Yeah.
You want to have all your faculties. You want to be able to walk up steps and down steps and maybe go up a hill. You want to be able to pick up your grandkids, if
Yeah.
walk the dog, all that stuff. And
play basketball with
Yeah,
them.
you've got to, in order to do that, and this is a whole, I think we'll kind of get into these topics. But you do need to do, like, you have to lift weights or resistance
Mhm.
training. It doesn't have to be weights, but it's got to be stressing your muscles. You've
Yeah.
got to stay active. You got to stay limber, be able to stretch, whatever those things are, whatever keeps you,
But
so you can move.
again
You got to be able to move.
but again, I personally, I would not have, uh, tackled and stuck with any type of workout regimen if I was still drinking.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just know that. Now some people can. I couldn't.
You do that when you're in your 20s and 30s.
Sure.
Yeah.
In college, I could get up and
Yeah,
go for a
100%.
run, and
Yeah.
I wasn't bloated. I wasn't feeling like crap. I
Yeah.
was, but as you get
Just
older,
Tuesday morning.
yeah, it was just
Yeah.
normal. So that's the story of
Cool.
the first change I made, and I think we're gonna do the next episode on a whole bunch of other health changes that we made.
Whatever form or platform you're listening to this on, shoot us what you guys are doing too. We're interested to hear what other people might be doing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Always.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.